Good morning. Good morning. Am I at a safe distance?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome our friends, our longtime friends, Ruth and Clifton Kumar, spending our morning with us. Anybody else that have traveled a long distance to come see us? No? Okay, I'm Sharon. I'll be your MC this morning, and today we welcome you to the Makawao Hongwanji Dharma family service. Okay, let us begin by singing the Bandana Tisarana together in Pali and English. Please rise if you are able to. Thank you. Please be seated. We'll now sing the Gatha, Gasho with Amida, which you can find on the handout. The words will also be shown on the screen. Chanting will be followed by quiet singing.
With the joy and praise.
Let's sit together quietly for us. So just relax and be comfortable. If you are able, sit forward in your seat and place both feet on the ground. Sit up straight, align your head, neck, shoulders, and back. A straight line that goes down to the feet. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes and just breathe. Breathe in and breathe out. In and out. As you breathe in, you feel energy filling your body. And as you breathe out, any stress or worries in your mind just fade away. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will sit at the end of our appointment.
Right, we'll be reciting the golden chain of love. Let us begin. I am a link in the universe, golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all the weaker than myself. I will try to be very thoughts, to say more than words, and to do better deeds, knowing that what I do now is not only my happiness or happiness, but also that of others. Every human needs a little chain of love, be bright and strong, and may all attain perfect peace. Now, oops. Are we having children's time? What happened to our... Oops.
Let's see. Usually incense offering.
Yeah, incense offering. All right. So we'll be having incense offering.
I think so. Yeah.
Huh?
Sorry. Okay. I'll put the slide in for next week.
Okay, so... All right, so prior to doing the Dharma, children's Dharma start, we'll encourage everyone to offer incense at this time. Okay? Thank you. thank you very much. And now we'll have the children's Dharma story time. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see how things go. Let's see. Actually, no, there's something else that I need to do. Oops, I dropped something. Hang on. Okay, this is a little difficult. I'd just like to say the Dharma buddy, the Dharma bunny paid us a visit, and there's some special Easter treats which will be available in the social hall, and that's what this was for. So it's really hard to put this thing on if you're wearing 2 straps on your head already. So anyway. The other thing I've discovered about these N95 masks, it seems to suck the moisture out of your mouth. When I'm talking, my mouth will dry out halfway wearing these N95s. So anyway, so pretend you didn't see that, because yes, just pay attention to the dolls, please.
Live from Makawao, it's Children's Dharma Story Time, starring me, Barkle the doll, and Lucy the ladybug, with special guests Strange Snoopy and Kermit the Goshen Frog. Yee-haw! Good morning. Aloha kakahiaka. Well, how does it's me, Barkle the doll. How y'all doing this fine Sunday morning? I hope you're well and feeling fine. Mahalo for joining us here in historic Makawao town and on the beautiful island of Maui in the great state of Hawaii. Well, good morning. Aloha kako. Aloha for everyone. I'm so happy to see you all here this morning. Barkley, let's put on our super cool magic glasses from Maui Optics and see who's here with us this morning. Well, that's a great idea, Lucy. Let's see. I can see Kalena and Tyrus and Tori and Becky and Lena and Kami and Andy and Micah and Nolan and Cora and Lily and Noah and Liliana and Kenneth, Lindsay, Sierra and Wesley and Maddie in Colorado and Melody and Cadence in Honolulu. Hey, Melody, that icon you made looks really big. And Sensei buddies around the world. Hey, wait! Mahalo for everybody tuning in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have such a great story for you today. I got that backwards. Yes, that's right, Sensei. That's right, Lucy. It's one of Sensei's favorite stories.
And today's story is, I'm going to take my mask off because it's slipping all over the place. Today's story is Ferdinand. The story of Ferdinand by Monroe Leaf, drawings by Robert Lawson. The Story of Ferdinand by Monroe Leaf, illustrated by Robert Lawson. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little boy, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. But not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head, she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. I like it better here where I can sit just quietly and smell the flowers. His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong.
All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would bite each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell flowers. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls ran around snorting and biting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think they were very, very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care. So he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him, and that is just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Wow, did it hurt? Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, biting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. So they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. What a day it was. Flags were flying, bands were playing. And all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. First came the banderilleros, the long, sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him mad. Next came the picadores, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. And then came the bull. And you know who that was, don't you? Ferdinand. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the banderilleros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran into the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and bite and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers and all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the banderilleros were mad, and the picadores were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off his cape and sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. For all I know, he is sitting there still, under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers. He is very happy. Amen. And that was the story of Ferdinand by Monroe Leaf. And drawings by Robert Watson.
Dee-haw! Wasn't that a great story? What part did you like? Really? I love that part too. Ferdinand is a big, strong bull. So everyone expects him to run around and jump and butt heads like all the other bulls, but not Ferdinand, he likes to sit under a tree and smell the flowers. He's a rascal boy, just like I'm a rascal dog. You can only really be who you really are. So, hey, how about you, Lucy? What part did you like? Lucy? Lucy, what are you doing on the floor? Hang on. Mahalo for asking, Bartley. I love the way that Ferdinand's mother was worried that he might get lonely sitting by himself under a tree smelling the flowers. But she saw that he was happy and not lonesome, so she accepted Ferdinand just as he is, even though she didn't really understand. She loves Ferdinand just as he is. Well, that's right, Lucy. Without his mom's love and support, Ferdinand might have spent a lot of time trying to be something that he's not. It can't be easy being a bull who's happy sitting under a tree and smelling flowers when all the other bulls do bull stuff, like running around and jumping and running heads. Just like being a ladybug who loves a rascal dog, I'm sure the other ladybugs think you're crazy. Oh, Bartley, I am crazy. I'm crazy about you. Wait, I don't love. Say, Lucy, give me some love. Ooh, let's give Sensei some love. Okay, let's give everybody some love. Group love, group hugs always make me so happy. Say, Lucy, did I ever tell you about the time I invented the group hug? No, you haven't. Do tell me more. Well, you see, one day, fade to black. What? What's that? Oh, Ruth and Clifford are saying something. What's that? Oh, I forgot something. Sorry, you're right. Okay. Go ahead. So remember, be good, but not too much. Okay, sorry. That was one of the crazier ones. So, but yes, Clifford and Ruth, welcome. There have been some changes since you've been away. So, we're going to go into the Dharma talk for adults. So, Melody, this is the boring part. You may go off and do something else. I'd like to try to answer the question, what happens when I'm born in the Birla? We talk a lot about this, but we never actually try to answer the question. So let's see if we can answer the question. Okay, so to answer this question, let's reflect upon the wisdom of the late comedian George Carlin. And he said, if you try to fail and succeed, which have you done? Which have you done? So George Carlin was one of my favorite stand-up comedians because he delighted in pointing out the inconsistencies inherent in the American dream and was the absolute master of wordplay, as you see in this particular bit. But think about his insight. Right? If you try to fail and you succeed, that is to say, you fail at succeeding to fail. Or no, you fail to you succeed at failing, or something. Then you've achieved your goal. In the American dream, you've achieved your goal, you've achieved what you set out to do, so you're a success, and you'll be rewarded and recognized. Yes? Or is it, no, you failed to achieve your objective and you're a loser? So, achieving what you set out to achieve, whether it's today, this year, or during this unrepeatable life. Right? This is the definition of success. During the pandemic, this is the definition of productivity. I'm going to get 10 things done today, and you get them done. That's productivity. And so you're going to be recognized. This is the American way, so you're going to be recognized and rewarded and celebrated as a success. And I know that we're all billionaires flying in our own spaceships, right? But what if you tried to fail? Right? What if you deliberately tried to fail? At one point, I was working as a creative strategy consultant, and we tried to help companies in the creative business to increase their creativity. So I used to teach that the fastest way to brainstorm, which is a very old word, by the way, or generate out-of-the-box ideas, which was popular when I was an executive. How do you come up with ideas that are going to work? First, you come up with ideas that are 100% absolutely guaranteed to fail. What's the idea that's absolutely guaranteed to fail? And then, flip that upside down. The idea that's going to fail, flip it upside down. It's trying to radically shift your perspective and looking at these things. And if you look at George Carlin's humor, this is at the heart of his humor, but it's also at the heart of consistent creativity. So to answer the question, right, what happens when I'm born into the Pure Land? Let's go to the teachings of Shinran Shonin. And when they reach that lotus-held world, they immediately realize the body of suchness, or Dharma nature. Then, sporting in the forests of blind passions, they manifest transcendent powers. Entering the garden of birth and death, they assume various forms to guide others. The words of Shinran Shonin. This is verse 18 of the Shoshinga, the Shoshinen. So there you go. What happens when you're born in the Pure Land? This is what happens when you're born in the Pure Land. And everybody, of course, is familiar with this because we all chant the Shoshinga every day, right? Okay, even I don't chant the Shoshinga every day. I tried. I was showing off by doing it every morning, but it's just my body saying, nah, that's not going to work. But looking at this, this is actually one of the key aspects of the doctrine. And let's just talk about the words. The lotus-held world refers to the land of ultimate bliss, which is Sukawati in Sanskrit, Jingtu in Chinese, Jodo in Japanese, and the Pure Land in English. So, if you look at the Gohonzon, so the honorific object of reverence in the altars, you'll see that Amida is depicted as being held by a lotus, as it says in Shinran's words. So, well, you're kind of far away, but if you look at the base, the statue of Amida is standing on a lotus. It's actually arising from a lotus. If you go into the columbarium and you see the kanji characters, na, mo, a, mi, da, butsu, so the 6 characters. The 6 characters, and this is, by the way, this is Shinran's handwriting, it's depicted again as being arising from a lotus. So in the Jodo Shinshu Hongwanji tradition, you cannot have a representation of Amida, whether it's a statue, a painting, or the characters, the kanji characters, without showing the lotus. It's just how it works. And that's why you see that in every Jodo Shinshu temple that you go to from this point forward, take a look at the altar, and you should be able to see the lotus. At cocktail parties, this is an absolutely amazing piece of trivia. So when you're hanging out with other Hongwanji Buddhists, well, did you know? And you can show off. So the body of suchness, the Dharma nature, or sometimes written as Buddha nature, refers to becoming one with suchness, the absolute infinite reality as it is that's beyond human conception and comprehension. Tathagata, as in Amida Tathagata, is Amida Nyorai, means to come from suchness. So Amida comes from this absolute reality and manifests in our lives. The forests of blind passions, I should probably put that slide, oops, put this slide back up. The forest of blind passions is this world, human realm of confusion and delusion that we live in. It's the world of self-centered confusion, self-centered delusion. Transcendent powers are, of course, powers that transcend human ability and capability. The garden of birth and death, again, refers to this human world of self-centered confusion and delusion. The idea that we're constantly transmigrating between the 6 realms. The ability to assume various forms to guide others is an example of transcendent powers. So this is what happens when you get to the Pure Land. Through Amida's great love and great compassion and the infinite wisdom of Shakyamuni Buddha, utterly ordinary human beings like ourselves, like me particularly, were brought to the faith of Shinjin just as we are. And in the midst of everyday life, just as it is, Shinjin comes to us. The faith of Shinjin comes to us. And this is the true cause of birth into the Pure Land. And if you're born human, without exception, life will reach its inevitable conclusion. But having gratefully received Shinjin in this life, we are born into the Pure Land. We return in oneness with Amida to guide others. That's it. But it takes a long time for this dummy, particularly me, to figure that all out. And imagine that. I'm an ordained priest. I went to the seminary. I'm a temple minister. And this is really complicated stuff. So it's a good thing that Amida has immeasurable life, like infinite life, because it's going to take some time. Take some time. And I know everyone here chants the Shoshingi every day, right? Because no, we don't. But sometimes they'll say, what is the doctrine? It's like, well, it's right in front of us. It's right in front of us. Okay, so just say, well, if that's too complicated, we'll just say, no, So Honen, right, the founder of Jodo, the Jodo missions, for example, the Jodo Pure Land tradition in Japan, Shinran's great teacher, said that all you have to do is just say it, vocalize it. If it's coming out of your mouth, good enough. Right? You don't have to become a priest. You don't have to shave your head. You don't have to wear the robes. You don't have to read the sutras every day. You don't need a priest. You don't even need to have a temple. You can do Nam Myoho Butsu anytime, anywhere. Even if you can't read, you can say Nam Myoho Butsu. It is universal salvation for everyone. Why? Because we are all just ordinary human beings. If you're a super person, you become the Buddha on your own. You don't need Amida's compassion. But because we're not Buddha already, this is the Nembutsu. This is mindfulness of Amida, which is not a self-power practice. It comes to us. So, when we're brought to receive the faith of Shinjin, through the working of Amida in our lives, we are brought to say Nam Myoho Butsu in joy and gratitude, with strength and serenity in the midst of self-centered delusion and confusion. And that is Nam Myoho Butsu. So, if we're going to use the creative brainstorming format, right, what's the 100% guaranteed way to fail at receiving, right, Shinjin, which is the cause of birth in the Pure Land? So, if you didn't want to go to the fail, if you set out not to be born in the Pure Land, what's the how-to on that? How to fail at birth in the Pure Land? Super simple. Don't say Nam Myoho Butsu. Don't listen to the Dharma. Don't chant the Shoshinga. Don't be grateful for your life just as it is. Don't seek out the joy of life. Don't connect with other people. Don't say mahalo. Don't say thank you. And you'll be guaranteed not to get to the Pure Land. That's the path to failure. But flip it upside down, right? Be a creative thinker. Flip it upside down. So how to succeed at failing to realize birth in the Pure Land is to do this. Say Nam Myoho Butsu, hear and listen to the Dharma, chant the Shoshinga, or at least take a look at it. Be grateful for your life just as it is. Seek out the joy of life. Connect with other people at every opportunity. And just say mahalo anytime you can. Just say thank you. Whatever life throws at you, just say thank you. And that's how you're going to succeed at failing. Okay, I'm totally confused now, so let's go back to the words of Shinran Shonin. What happens when I'm born in the Pure Land? And when they reach that lotus-held world, they immediately realize the body of suchness, or Dharma nature. Then, sporting in the forests of blind passions, they manifest transcendent powers. Entering the garden of birth and death, they assume various forms to guide others. The words of Shinran Shonin. Nam Myoho Butsu. Well, mahalo for listening this morning, and may your day be filled with aloha. Nam Myoho Butsu.
Please rise if you're able, and let's sing the hymn Untitled Chapter. Please remain standing and let us sing the Nembutsu, which will be found on the screen.
they reach that lotus-held world, they immediately realize the body of suchness or Dharma nature. Then, sporting in the forests of blind passions, they manifest transcendent powers. Entering the garden of birth and death, they assume various forms to guide others. Not once.
Please be seated. And we will, Reverend Kira will lead us in the gratitude meditation.
So let's sit together quietly for a few moments. So just relax and get comfortable. If you are able, sit forward in your seat and face both feet flat on the ground. Sit up straight and line your head, neck, shoulders, and back in a straight line that goes down to the floor. Place your hands comfortably in your lap. Now close your eyes halfway so that you're looking both outwardly and inwardly. And just breathe. Breathe in. And breathe out. In. And out. As you breathe in, think of something for which you are grateful. As you breathe out, just say Makawao. Just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Just breathe. The sound of the gong will signal the end of our quiet meditation.
Thank you very much for joining our daily sunrise service today.
Sunday service.
The sun has already risen, right?
Good thing.
May your day feel good. I'm just reading what's on here. Okay.
Just wait till next week then, sure.
Okay. You have an announcement, Sensei?
There's just a kind of a schedule, I think. Just to say this is next Sunday, right? Is that date right?
24th.
It's the 24th.
24th, yeah.
So next Sunday is the Bwa State Conference. We are going to be, I understand we're going to be having a service. So that's what's happening then. We're going to have May 1st is the first Sunday, which we'll be having our usual first Sunday service here at Makawao. But it's also the State Dharma School gathering, so if you'd like to register for that, registration is still open. Particularly for the audience who wants to watch from home, it'd be a good opportunity to see how the other Dharma schools do things. And then let's see, we got May 8th will be a regular Sunday service. Fuji Matsuri will be in person this year at Wailuku Hongwanji, and so we won't be having a service here. June, also moving things around, the first Sunday in June will be the baccalaureate service. And then in July, there's no service on July 3rd because we're going to be having the summer garage sale. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, we'll see how it goes. So that means we'll shift the first Sunday to July 10th. We'll have general cleanup on the 17th. Then we'll have in-person bug dance, again, hopefully, causes and conditions permitting, on the 22nd and 23rd. And then the 24th Sunday is traditional day of rest because we're all burned out after the bug dance. That's the general idea. This is, of course, subject to change, as we've all learned in the past couple of years. I think that's it.
I have one announcement.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, bone dance. Okay, it's July 22nd, 23rd. We're having a practice June 1st. It's a Wednesday. One night only. Stacy Nikaido has volunteered to come and help us.
Great.
So it starts at 7, Wednesday, June 1st. Okay? Got it?
I have an announcement.
Yes.
Please sign up for Fuji Mastery by April 29th.
Okay.
Lunch will be served, so we need a head count.
Okay, Tokomaru, you're welcome to come too. Please come.
We'll be in Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Okay. Well, anybody else? Announcements? Jamie? Nothing? Nothing to sell?
No.
No? Okay. Okay. Well, have a great afternoon and go to the social hall, some refreshments and fellowship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Calendar, June 1st, one day, 7 o'clock.
Yes, the knuckle. I got tap on you. Will you be able to
Do the house for the podcast? I think I'll be here, but you know what? I need to check because I guess we're gonna do I just need somebody to take care of that. I think so.
Yeah, I tapped on Robert. You said okay.
Oh no. For the junior one.
Or the junior, no, for the Choba. He said he wants to help.
Okay. Yeah, so I was just thinking as long as I mean usually because I pick up all the stuff, but as long as there's 2 days to be around because it's kind of hard right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So as long as I can get Robert, because it's kind of heavy.